which is a big city, but 16 years ago, you could virtually go anywhere in this city and not run across a LegalShield transportation account. I mean, that's just the way it was. And so I found that, and I really started to specialize in it and develop myself in it and learn from safety directors to where I'm at today. And it's a wonderful thing. And plug it in here on Monday nights, you can really learn a lot of the great nuggets. You don't have to experience some of the things I went through. You can just kindly take a shortcut and really capitalize on some of the things that we talk about here on Monday night. I've sold over 5,000 memberships running in the lane of transportation. And I do a lot of bundle selling now in terms of the legal plan and CDLP plan. I'm doing a good many gun programs now, tripling up on those 30 memberships. And sometimes, I sell the ID Shield and some of the other products as well. But I'm part of the Special Forces and the Solution Emerald Elites. And so I've earned the 50,000K ring and also the 100,000K ring selling transportation. And here tonight, we got some great information for you on overcoming objections. This is one of the, oh yeah, Mr. Clarence, this is one of the things that you have to learn when you're selling this membership is overcoming objections. And I made it such a priority for myself that I wanted to hear objections, and I trained myself in overcoming those. And so I'm, the guy sitting in the back of the room that raises his hand, he's just got the perfect question, he wants to throw that at me. And I love to hear the questions. And I've learned the hard way through a lot of questions. But if I didn't know the answer to one, I told the driver, hey, I'm sorry, I will get back to you. Give me your name and phone number. I'll call you back with the answer on that. And so I would research that. And so I made it one of my objectives to really search it out. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Robert and Sharon, whoever is next, so that you can introduce yourself. Mr. Robert, there you go.
Can you see me? All right, just that. Appreciate you. So my name is Robert Dunbar. I've been with the company for 11 years, been a trainer for 6 to 7 years on the networking side and 3 to 4 years on the business solutions, CDLP side. So really love training, really love helping. I'm a 100K ring earner, got 250K ring earners on my team. So I do work all areas of LegalShield. So our job is really to help you get through the humps, get through the potholes and the pitfalls and all that kind of stuff. So everything from online CDLP certification training to field training to supporting in the field to doing live trainings in the field. That's our job. That's our position, to kind of come in and help and make sure that you've got what you need to move to the next level. So this is how the process works in my mind. Get yourself certified, right? Go to a certification training online. We have one every third Saturday of the month. Hopefully we'll be opening up with some live trainings here coming up soon. But right now, every third Saturday, we'll be having a training that you can get certified. Certified doesn't mean qualified. So that means that once you get certified, you want to get plugged into this call on Mondays. You want to get plugged into Sherranda Ivey's call on Thursday once you've gotten the field trainer and you start having some activity, right? So certification training, plug into this call on Mondays or listen to the recording if you can't be on at this time. Get yourself a field trainer, get yourself working in the direction of, hey, I'm pulling companies, I'm looking at safety scores, I'm calling companies, or I'm walking in companies. And now you're kind of getting the feel, and then get plugged into Sherranda's call, because that's an activity call. So you want to be talking about what you're doing. You don't want to be talking about, I'm going to be doing next month, not on that call on Thursdays. So you got the whole platform laid out. You get yourself certified, get yourself plugged into these calls, get yourself some activity with a certification trainer that specifies doing CDLP, right? So make sure that certification trainer understands this space. Get rolling with them, let them know how you should be making calls, what you should be doing, work with that person. And then once you see some things happening and you see some calls being made and you're walking into some doors, then get yourself plugged into Sherranda Ivey's call. And then you'll see it'll kind of run just that smooth. So if you keep plugging back in, you'll keep hearing more information. It'll keep feeding what you're building. So I'll tell you, that's probably the best way to work it. We've got a video here that we always suggest that everybody go in and look at. It's called the 3rd Annual Prospecting Trucking Company video. You can find it right here on this page, the CDLP Facebook page. So if you go to that page, just go to announcements and scroll down, and you'll see on that thumbnail a really big 3rd annual, or it'll say that on there. If you can't find it here, just go to my YouTube channel. That's Robert Dunbar, or you can just go to Training by Dunbar. Go to that YouTube channel. I'll put that link in the chat as well. And you can click there, go to the playlist. Right. So once you get to my channel, click playlist and you'll see LegalShield weekly CDLP training zooms. Go there and then you will see that 3rd annual there. It's an hour and 45-minute video. You want to look at that video because it's a breakdown. And there's also a timestamp in the description. So if you want to know what you're going to learn in that video, just click the description. It'll drop down. It'll let you know all the topics that we talk about, and they'll all be timestamped. So if you want to look at things in a specific order, just look at the timestamp, click on that timestamp, and it'll take you to that area of the video. So you don't have to worry about, waiting an hour to hear something. We suggest you listen to the whole thing. But if for some reason you got a short amount of time, you need to just hear something specific because you heard the whole video before, but you need a refresher in a specific area, then just go to that timestamp. That's why we have it there. But make sure you keep referring back to that video because it's going to answer most of your questions between Randy Hooker, Catherine Pouliot, Lamar Reynolds, Sherranda Ivey, and myself. Between all 5 of us, you're going to get most of your questions answered. So just go there and look at that video. That's what I would suggest. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Sherranda Ivey because she's going to be starting the Overcoming Objections section with talking about overcoming the objections with the decision maker when you're making a call in the first place. So Sherranda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Dunbar. Sounds weird. Okay, so now for the past, I don't know, year and some months, I've been dialing versus walking in. So some of the objections I hear, because I'm getting the owner. Every now and then I get the a gatekeeper or somebody else, but most of the time I'm getting an owner because that's who I'm calling, those companies where the number that I have is the owner's number. So I'm sticking with, those prospects. And so a lot of times the owner doesn't know a product like ours exists. So we have some dialogue, I ask some questions and, especially when it comes to, how are you handling the DOT violations? Some of them have said to me, there's nothing you can do about that. Right. And then you have some that really doesn't know anything is out there to help them. So with those 2 types of clients or prospects, it becomes a conversation of educating, just asking some more questions, just trying to figure out, exactly how much they are aware of, some of the laws, like the adjudication process. A lot of them haven't heard that. So there's a lot of education that comes into play with those prospects. And, the goal is always to set the appointment. But, a lot of them, if they have time, they want to know more then. So taking control of the conversation, I normally just continue to ask those questions. So I can, eventually show enough value that they'll set some time with me, because what I don't want to be is rushed with them. Right. Because I know I interrupt their day already. And so I want us to have a relaxed conversation. So And so with those people, I'm trying to educate, ask questions, educate, and set the appointment. Always going back to try to set the appointment. And then I find that I have another objection I have is that they'll say their drivers have something in place. And I'm not quick to get out the phone just because they say that. I again ask some more questions, and normally without saying the competitor, TVC will come out. And then with TVC, I ask questions on exactly how the drivers are using it. Because again, I'm calling because their numbers are still high. So I know if they do have something in place, obviously they're not using it. Maybe they don't understand it. So I'm asking questions because I'm calling because the numbers are still high. So also with the TVC, I have learned that a lot of times when asking questions about when they say they do have TVC, they have TVC because a lot of times they use the fuel card, that feature or that part of the program, because TVC offered fuel cards. And so they'll say, oh, we got to put the fuel cards or whatever, and they're not using the product on the part of using the legal, again, because the numbers are high. So what I found is, if I can have a conversation with them, if, they don't hang up or whatever, and we get out, we continue to have dialogue, it's, the objections I have is that they normally don't know it exists, or then I have some that say they're good, just straight out good, right? And so I'm not one to go back and forth with them when they are adamant that they're good. It's just, okay, have a good day. So, and then, it's always that one that thinks you're DOT and they scared to death, and then they trying to ask 1,000 questions, but always still trying to go back to taking control of the conversation. So that's what I'm finding on the phones for me. Like I said, if they stay on the phone long enough to just have some dialogue, I'm gonna, try my best to keep, the posture where I'm in control of the conversation. And if I can do that, it's a better outcome. If I allow them to take over the conversation, it just don't normally go well. And so we end up with them not, setting an appointment or just not interested. So that's where I'm at with my phone calls. So over to you, Lamar. Let's hear what you're saying in the field and what's going on in the field. But that's my thing. Dunbar, you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask real quick. Yeah. I wanted to ask because I wanted to touch on probably, because it's important to understand, right, what we're doing to make sure that if a rebuttal can be overcome, we're in a position to be able to do so. And this is why we all talk about so much about pulling the company's information, right? Contrary to what anybody may believe, they don't want to do the extra work. It's taking a long, it's taking a long road. At the end of that, the more information you have on your prospect, the better it is as you go to prospect, right? So check this out. If the company says we already have something in place, if you don't know anything about the company, you only got a couple of things you can say back. Do you want to take a look at our information and kind of what way, you want to look at a comparison, like just some general stuff. But when we pull the company information and they say, well, we already got something in place. And this is about how you say this, right? Not being rude, not being disrespectful, but to be able to say, hey, Miss Ivey, I'm not being funny here. I'm calling you because my job is to help companies. Like I'm only calling companies to help. So I'm not calling you in a sales sense. I'm calling you because my job is to pull companies that have information that may be harmful to the company so that we can come in and try to get you guys in a better position. I'm not sure who you're using right now. You don't even have to mention them to me because I'm not concerned about who the other company is. But I will tell you that your scores are taking a hit right now. So whoever you're using, either you guys aren't sending it through data queue or they aren't being fought properly. And I would say taking a look at our product will make a lot of sense. You follow what I'm saying? You can't have that conversation if you don't see that their score is bad in the first place, if you're just calling companies. So like, how do you feel like, because you're making calls and I know that you pull companies, I know that you make calls, and I know you've had that conversation. So how does that conversation work as far as comfortability and convenience and having the know-how?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, no matter what they say, the only reason I'm calling is because I know the numbers are bad, right? Like I'm not guessing. I'm not being generic. I know, Mr. Reynolds, that, your numbers are still high. Unfortunately, even though you have something in place. So I just want to see, is it that you don't know how to use what you have, or, it's just not truly working for you? And so, like you say, and then so it's more conversation and more questions asked, because if you're not happy with that and you don't, because you hear a lot of times, oh, they called the 800 number and they didn't get anybody. And I always like to say, you'll have a personal rep, a local consultant here with you and your drivers. Your company will have that. So when you have questions or concerns that, or maybe you call the law firm and they just didn't call you back in a timely manner, you will have a consultant here to help you with some of those customer service issues that you may have. Because somewhere along the way they say, yeah, we call the 800 number, we don't tend to get anybody. We call the 800 number, we on forever hold or something like that. So I ask those questions and just try to figure it out, and just kind of, sell them on the fact of other things that we do. And it just, and when you know what position the company is in, you don't have to go fishing to try to say the right thing, because you already know that they have problems. They can't cut you down and say, oh, that's not us. Oh, we hadn't had that problem. When you looking at the report and you know that it's there, and you say, and not being ugly, say, well, I just noticed that, one of your drivers back, in New York a couple of weeks ago, got a citation for this, and this, and this how many points went in the record. I'm just trying to make sure you're aware of that. I mean, that's a conversation, not all trying to make them feel, dumb, but
but it is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
Or your famous line, right? When they say, we got something already. Your report, your report came across my desk, right. And I see otherwise, right? So, I use the lines about because I heard Lamar say something similar at one time. I'm trying to think of what Lamar said on the call. About them not having an agent. Lamar mentioned one day on a call years ago, this is maybe two and a half years ago or something like that. He says that the TBC guys don't have an agent. And like, I'm calling crazy at that time. At that time, I'm walking in places like, you waiting to use that new information. And it was a TBC guy that I was talking to. And he said, yeah, same thing you just said. He called a 1-800 number. He was trying, it was actually a couple. I was in a car dealership talking to a young lady, and it was a gay couple, and the wife, she drove trucks, and the wife, the woman I was talking to worked in a car dealership, and she said, let me call my wife because she has TBC, and she's like really fed up with him. And I said, okay, so she puts her on the phone. And I said, well, what's the problem you have? She said, well, I was calling 1-800 number, I don't get nobody. I said, why don't you call your rep? I was waiting to use that line because Lamar had told me they didn't have a rep already. So I said, why didn't you just call your rep? And she was like, well, that's what I'm doing. I'm calling a 1-800 number, but like they don't get back with me, or sometimes they've told me they don't have an attorney in that area. And I'm like, but like, you can't three-way call like with your rep. And I know that they don't have one, so I'm just pushing this button, right? And she says, well, no, we don't have a rep. We just have a 1-800 number. I said, well, just so you know, when we get you enrolled in LegalShield, like I'm your rep. So if you ever call a law firm and you don't get the response you're looking for, just give me a call and I can call her. And she was like, oh, that's so great. Right. So it was just like using the information and knowing that that company just doesn't have all the details we have. They don't have the system that we have where they have law firms that they already know are in specific places that they're contracted with. You know, they don't have that with TVC. They pretty much just reach out. Now they have relationships, but they don't have contracts. And that's a big difference, especially in transportation law, because it's harder to find quality law firms in that space. So no, that's good stuff. I appreciate it. Anything else before we turn it over to Lamar? Are you good?
No, it's just, they always think you're DOT. So they, after they, fire off 1,000 questions to you and realize that you're not DOT, then they get a little posture, they get a little bold or whatever. But other than that, just keeping them calm and, having that conversation is taking control. No, it's either, you just educate. Some of them just rude, don't want to talk to you and just hang up. They just don't get it and they're not going to get it. So you don't fuss with them or whatever. But no.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. So Lamar, come on, let's talk about them objections when you're doing that group presentation.
Okay. I want to do kind of a transition piece for us as we get into the objections. And Sherranda and I were talking earlier about a lot of the companies now, they don't do safety meetings, live in-person safety meetings. And the post-COVID now, I have a good, I've already done, I don't know, probably less than 10 live safety meetings out there. So I want to turn you on to a big nugget that you can connect with drivers the high-tech way. And, and I have some over-the-road companies that they don't have safety meetings, never have had safety meetings. They do it another way. And I'd like to tell you about that. And now that after the COVID, there's a lot of companies that was forced to do this way. And some of them are choosing to stay with it for a while. So, it's federal legislation that you have the ELD and the notebooks. So what is happening, the safety directors are posting through that device to do safety meetings, Mr. Clarence. All that information is flowing through that. And now this is a great nugget. These articles that we come up with on Monday nights, if you're in good with your safety director, that safety director can post that on the notebook or the ELD. Okay. And guess what's at the bottom? Your name, your phone number, and your email address. Okay. And I even take it to another little step in terms of some selling benefits or document. I have them to post that. And what I'm starting to do now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking the CDLP video and I'm putting that on a document, okay, with the link on it. They're sending that through on the ELD, on the notebook. And they can just click on that sucker and watch the video. Of course, my name and my phone number, my email address is on that document. So, we have to evolve, might be a good way to say it, evolve into these new ways of connecting with our customer base. And it might be the high-tech way now that we may evolve into, but there's a lot of companies doing that. Now that the COVID thing is lifting a little bit, a lot of companies are starting to do live meetings again. And I really embrace that. I really enjoy doing face-to-face meetings. But I wanted to give you that great tip there. And you need to grab that and run with it. You can do that with if you're starting, I mean, have you gone into a decision maker meeting, and Sherranda probably has done a good many of these, decision maker meeting, and that decision maker said, well, I tell you what, we're going to test our employees to see if there's interest in your program. You ever heard that? Probably everybody on this call, hands will go up. Everybody has heard that. We'll take your information and see if there's interest with it. Okay. So guess what? You can be in control of that a little bit by giving them the information you want to be posted on the notebook or the ELD. Okay. So that's the way we want to do it. If there's going to be any testing being done, we want to be part of it. And we want to actually give them the information to send out to test their people with. So I just wanted to say that. So when we do get in front of live meetings, and even it could be some objections that may come across, even across the ELD, and they may reach back to you with the objections. And I'm going to go through some of them here, and we're going to talk about it. But there's one that I'm just going to talk about. I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to give you my answer later. But I want you to be chewing on this and thinking about it, because it's one of the common ones we hear. And in our CDLP training, it's not listed as one of them. And what you will hear a lot, do I have to fill this paperwork out today? Can I take this home with me and discuss this with my spouse? Okay. So all of that is an objection. Okay. How are you going to overcome that? And maybe if we got a little time left at the end of this section, maybe we can, get some feedback from 2 or 3 or 4 of you guys that want to, if you've got a good idea, we would like to hear that. Okay. So be thinking about that. And that's going to be my last one that I'm going to cover. But the first one that I want to go over, and if you want to make notes, and hopefully you're making notes, is you will, sooner or later, you're going to hear, well, that costs too much. And so what are you going to say? All right. Well, my program is less than $1 a day, less than a bottle of water. And if there's a bottle of water there, you can pick it up. And also what you're paying for my program for a whole year is like $360 at $29.95 times 12, about $360. That's less than $1 a day. It's less than what you're going to pay on a DOT ticket if you get it out there. Okay. So there's 2 or 3 good comebacks that you can give there about it costs too much. And really, when you look at it, it doesn't cost too much because 1, it's a tax write-off, and 2, you can offset that cost through the LegalShield perks. And the 2 perks that I found that the drivers really gravitate to, and you can just make this objection just go completely away, is the perk on the cell phone. And you need to put it in your mind. Verizon is 8%, T-Mobile is 15%, Sprint is 17%, and AT&T is like 19%. And if you've got a $200 phone bill, and let's just pick one, T-Mobile at 15%, that's $30 right there off your cell phone bill. That will offset the cost of this program that you say costs too much. Okay. It's a total tax write-off, and you can offset the cost. Don't have to go into your budget. So it's a win-win-win-win. And you get the driver, you get all of these benefits that I'm telling you about. And I'm telling you how you can cover that. It's a write-off. So you win on that, and then you offset the total cost. So there you go. So remember all of those little nuggets there. And then you will come across a guy that's sitting there in the meeting. It says, I've never heard of a legal plan like this before. Okay, never heard of anything like this. Well, so I found that particular person, I have a great opportunity to sell them. And I just reassure him that in LegalShield, we've been around since 1972. Okay. And we've been selling the CDLP membership since 1986. That's when they come out with a CDLP or come out with a CDL license. When they come out with used to, every state had their own license. And then the federal government come out with a CDL and said, we're going to make this a nationwide driver's license. If you drove in Oklahoma, you had to have a driver's license, Arkansas, a driver's license, and in Texas, a driver. I mean, you have 2 or 3 driver's licenses. You get too many points on one, you just throw it out the window and keep on going, So now you got 1 driver's license, and that's it. So, I reassure them that we've been selling this program since 1986. And I said, and I will make eye contact with this person all the way through my presentation. I'll make sure they understand all the points I'm talking about. And so that person is easy to sell. I just encourage you, when that person says, hey, I've never heard of a legal plan like this, pay a little attention to them, give them a little attention, and you will sell that membership. I tell you, I sell just about everyone that makes that statement to me. And then there's going to be a person that usually sitting towards the back of the room that raises a hand and says, Mr. Reynolds, I don't think I need your program. I don't get tickets. And you'll hear that. I don't get tickets. But it's how they identify what a ticket is. They might not be getting tickets, but they're getting roadside inspections. Okay? It's what we call roadsides. What they call in tickets is a speeding ticket. Okay? That's what the old school relates that to a ticket. Okay? But they're getting roadside inspections. And if you're going through scale houses, you're going to be pulled over. You're going to go through a level 1, level 2, level 3 inspection out there. And so that's one piece of that. But I had a gentleman here in Houston says, Mr. Reynolds, I'm from, I don't know where he was, somewhere, I don't know, I believe it was from Ohio somewhere. He says, he came down to Houston. He says, I just don't get tickets. I'd had a ticket in years. I don't need your program. And so I walked back to him and I said, I tell you what, sir, I'm going to give you my business card. I want you to keep all my information. He said, I don't want to keep your information. I really don't need it. I said, would you do me a favor? Would you just put my business card in your billfold? Because you're going to need me. You might not realize it now, but you're going to need me. Well, I'm telling you right now, I'm not interested. So he put that, this is a true story. He put that in his billfold. And it was almost a whole month. This guy called me. And the first thing he said, you put a voodoo on me. I've already got 2 tickets already this month. I said, well, we can solve that for you and we can get you in the program tonight. And I enrolled him right there online. Actually, I sent him an application, a PDF, and he filled it out and sent it back to me. But I enrolled him right there. And he was part of my group. So when a person says, I don't get tickets, so you need to drill down on that and see, okay, you're probably getting roadside inspections, okay? Like a level 1, level 2, level 3. And so it's how they say that. And then what Sherranda was talking about earlier about TVC, you hear this a lot about a bad experience with the competition. And I found that a lot of those complaints are really coming from TVC. And TVC's got some real issues. And Robert really keyed in, on the rep thing, because once you start to talk to that person that's had TBC, they can't tell you the name of that rep. That was just somebody standing at a podium. They don't know who it was. And so we at LegalShield, we come to your place of business. You know who I am. I give you my business card. And if you got a question about a ticket, and I'll give you permission to use this, okay? If you got a question about a ticket, police officer, or the court, please call me. I want to help you with that. Okay? And man, they will tuck that card into the billfold and purse right there. And what they're talking about, a bad experience, is these upcharges. And okay, once the 10-day waiting period is over, we have 0 attorney fees and no upcharges in the original court of jurisdiction. Okay, you need to learn that verbiage, because there is no attorney fee and no upcharge on those charges there. And so, TVC, if they really want to talk about TVC, well, how long have you had TVC? Well, I've had that for 5 years. Well, I tell you what, if you'd have been in my program, you spent enough of money in 5 years to almost pay for my program for 10 years. So I can really save you a lot of money here today by signing up in my program. Well, I just paid, last week, my $48 for the month. Well, that's fine. So what we need to do is enroll you in the program here today. All right. And then once we get your membership number and it's sent to you, then you can call and cancel your membership. We don't want any lapse in service. So that's the way I tell them. And it's all about the service. I'm your service person. And so I merchandise myself to them. And so that will make that bad experience with the competition, because I've heard of those type programs and I'm not interested in that type of a program. And come to find out, they had a real problem. And that's how you overcome that one. And then the last one, well, the second to the last one, I'm thinking about leaving trucking. I'm 65 years old, and I'm thinking about retiring here in another year or two. What are you going to say that? And you will hear this one. You will hear that one a lot. Well, as long as you're in trucking, you're going to need my program. You're going to need the CDLP program. I don't care if you're in there for 6 months or a year. You need to be in my program. Because if you get a ticket, you're just on your own out there. You need to be in my program. And then once you decide to retire, I want you to call me back. Here's my business card. I want you to call me back, because I want to transfer you from the commercial program to the personal program. Okay? If they didn't buy the bundle, I want to transfer you over to the personal program. And so that really works well. It really puts that out of their mind. I'm thinking about leaving trucking, and I don't need your program. Well, yes, you do. You do need my program. I don't care if you're going to retire in 6 months, you still need to be in my program. All right. And then the thing that I challenged everybody on the call here, and I would like for us to just kind of dialogue on this, and maybe Sharon Holiday can see if there's any hands that's in the air. Can I take this application home tonight? Can I take this and talk to my spouse? Can I email this back to you? I had a person today that told me, can I mail this application back to you? So what are you going to say to that person to overcome that, to get them to fill out that application? And I see Robert has got his hand raised. So Robert, would you like to attack that one? And then I'll give you.
Now, Do you want me to respond to what I was just raising my hand saying it happened to me. You can go ahead and give your response to it. That's fine. I have a response, but you can give yours if you want.
But I was just wondering if any of the associates that's on the call, if you had a great idea. I mean, we all need, and nobody's got the silver bullet on this one. This one here, I mean, we hear this a lot. And I stop a lot of it, but I would like to have 100%, but I don't have 100% on it.
Well, Lamar, I make mine as a joke. I make a joke out of it. Okay. I make it during my presentation because I don't want the person to say that. I don't want it to ever be an offense. What I've learned is that when you avoid objections by making it part of your presentation, nobody takes offense to it because you said it before they've shown that they have that idea. Does it make sense? So I make a joke. During my presentation, I always say, so guys, look, it's about 35 of you all in the room, right? And my significant other made the packages for me before I did this presentation. So she knows exactly how many of you guys are in the room. And she wants me coming home with all of these forms. And if I don't bring them home, she's not gonna let me in. So I'm gonna need y'all to return these forms, whether y'all get the membership or not. If you're not getting the membership, just put across the top, right? I still put across the top what their reason is that they're not gonna get it. Put yes, no, put get lost, I'm not interested. Put whatever you want to put across the top, but turn that form back into me. So if you're not interested, you don't want this membership, just write it across the top. You don't want it, and then turn it back into me. That way I'll make sure I get all the applications. I'm not concerned really about the people who don't want it. What I'm really doing by saying that is stopping somebody from raising their hand and saying, can I take this home? That prevents that question. Because the people who are not going to get it, not going to get it. Anyway. I mean, you know what I mean? If they're not going to get it, they're not going to get it. But what I don't want you to do is to prevent somebody else from not getting it by raising your hand and putting that idea in somebody else's head. So we can't pick stupid, but stupid is contagious. And we don't want nobody to spray that stupid around. So that's why I try to do it that way. So back to you.
Yeah, that is I really like that, Robert, of covering that objection before you hear it. Okay? Overcoming the objection before you put it in your present. I really like that. But if they do come out and say it, one of the things, and I'm just going to give you guys my approach, and if anybody else has got something, I please raise your hand. I want to hear it. I just tell the people, here at ABC Trucking Company, I do something special for the drivers. Okay? So you don't have to enroll today, but I'm asking you to fill the application out today. Okay? Now, you can put a future date on this application. We have these little one-page applications. It's got today's date, and then it's got effective date up above it. And we can put the effective date in there. Okay? Now, all right, so today is the 28th. All right. And so you can put the effective date July 1. Okay. That gives you a chance to go home and speak to your spouse and impress your spouse that you have made a great decision about this product. And you get to tell them all about the benefits, the membership perks and all of that. So I do that. You can put a future date on it. And then there's going to be some that says, Mr. Reynolds, I'm interested, but I don't know when I want to get in your program. I said, that's fine. Just go ahead and fill that paperwork out. Put today's date on it, but just up at the top where it says effective date, just don't put any date at all. Okay? And when you're ready to get in my program, I want you to call me. Okay? And you can go home and speak to your spouse, whoever you need to speak to. So I use that as one of my overcoming the objections, and I really like Robert's. We really need to put that into our presentation, cover that objection before we hear it. And then if they still bring it up, I want you to remember what I just said there, okay? go ahead and fill the application out. And one of the things that I use to lure them in to filling out that application, I just got through showing them the window decals, and everybody sitting there wants the window decal. Matter of fact, there's drivers raise their hand and say, Mr. Reynolds, can I buy some window decal? I said, you sure can. See me right after the meeting. They're $29.95. You can have one. Yeah, everybody wants a window decal. Yeah. But if you're in the membership, I give them to you free. But if you want to buy some, I'll let you buy some. So that's the way I handle that. But I use, the future date and no date at all. And I can go ahead and give you the membership kit. Okay. So I give them the membership kit and they leave with it. And I found that improves my odds of them wanting that program. And if they put July 1 on there, I just about get all of those. The ones that put nothing on there, it's a roll of the dice on that. But I use that membership kit to kind of draw them in a little closer. Okay. They cost $1.50 or whatever to give them that kit. And so that's what I do. But if there's anybody on this call that has got a suggestion on overcoming that one, please raise your hand. We would love to hear it. I know we're right at the bottom of the hour, but objections, you just got to make it a priority to learn these, how to overcome these. And I used to force myself to overcome the objections because as I was learning, I would ask, are there any questions when I finished? And if I'm not pressed for time, I will ask that question even today. Are there any questions? And I want them to ask me a question because it gives me a little bit more platform to answer that with confidence and to do a little bit more selling. Because usually that person that asked the question, and I usually call them the bell cow. This is the old cow out there in the pasture that's got a bell on. And all the cows follow this one cow because she's got that bell on, walking around out there. And usually the person that asks a question in the group, there's probably 5 to 10 people that if they buy, they're going to buy. You ever seen that in a presentation? Everybody's looking at him to see if he's filling out. I've had people turn around and look back to see if that driver back there is filling out the application. If he's filling it out, they start to fill it out. I had a guy the other day that before I finished my presentation, he started filling out the application after I started talking. I don't know. I was in 2 minutes into my presentation and he started filling out the application. He had it all done. And when I got into the perks, I mean, oh man, I made a good decision. And everybody in that room was looking at him as he was filling out that application. So it makes, if you can get people filling out applications, I even walk around the room and say, right there is the date. Start right there with the date. Okay, what is the date? June the 28th. Just put that in right there. I'll get them writing. And so that's the way I do that. On the dates, future dates, and no dates. And I just about get an application on everybody in that room. Okay. But you need to think about overcoming that objection before it happens. And I really like Robert's suggestion there. So Robert or Sherranda or Sharon, if any of you guys got any feedback on that, this is a great thing to understand and overcome objections. Robert?
So real quick to respond to Jim Alifat. I'm sorry, Jim. I'm my mind is spinning. Jim asked, do we have them sign the application if they're turning it in, but they're not filling it out?
Yeah.
Lamar says yes. I
Yeah.
do on payroll, I don't on bank draft. On bank draft, I don't have them sign it, but I'm doing a payroll group, I do. Lamar says he does all the time. Go ahead and
Oh,
explain, Lamar.
yes, sir. And I'll tell him, I said, okay, well, I don't want to put my credit card down there. If I don't know when I want to put, I said, well, that's fine. Just go ahead and sign right there. And you see the bank and you see the credit card. I want you to sign in both places. I want you to sign in all three places. One for the application, one for the bank, and one for the credit card. Well, why do you want me to do all that, Mr. Reynolds? Well, in case when you call me back and you say you're ready, I want to be able to take the bank account number or the credit card number, and and I can fill that in, and you've already signed it. That's the way I do it. And everybody, they'll sign it.
Good stuff.
Some people will go ahead and put all the financial stuff in there. And if they do that, I know they're really serious about getting into the program. If they leave it blank, okay, there's a question, hopefully they'll get in the program, but they'll sign the application. Any more, Robert?
No, I don't see any more questions inside of the chat. Let me see. We'll check one more time.
You guys,
looks like that's it.
Just remember the ELD information I gave you. That is a great nugget for tonight. Get in with that safety director, because the safety director is the one that can do the posting in the notebooks in that ELD. And they can take your document, they can take your video, documents, articles, and post in the electronic device for all the drivers. They can be scattered all over the US and they get that and read it.
Somebody said, what's the ELD?
Electronic log. And, unless they're, let's just say local and not going over 150 miles from the base, and providing they're not going outside of that base more than once in 30 days, I believe it is, once or twice in 30 days, you don't have to have an electronic log. But most truck companies, you're going to find most of them have an electronic log. And so a lot of companies during the COVID, they gravitated to that way of communication. So that safety director can remind the drivers when it's July the 11th, don't speed today. There's a DOT blitz, and he can post that right on the electronic log as a note. Okay. And he can also post any documents that you give him on that as well. So remember that. That's a great nugget.
Do you use the CDLP video? Hold on, let me make sure I'm reading that correctly. Do you use CDLP video if you want to explain to someone else?
I use that. I had a person today that wanted me to send them a video. I got the application, but they wanted to actually merchandise that to their spouse. I said, okay, give me your name and phone number and your email address, and I will send you the video. Yeah, I use that video, Robert, that's in the CDLP prospecting funnel. That is the video that I use right there. Yep.
Yep, and it's about 3 minutes and 42 seconds, so short video.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Absolutely, good stuff. Sherranda, anything you want to add before we close out?
No, those are good information.
Hey, can I ask a question, Robert? I
Yeah,
ran
go ahead,
into
Jim.
this the other day. So I was talking with a safety director, and I was asking him, and I explained to him who I was. He was a referral because the driver is a longtime friend of mine. And I'd mentioned to him, I saw their record was above average. I asked him about the SMS and who handled, how did they handle taking care of their points and the driver points. And I used Lamar's script, I'm sure you're aware, sir. And he came back, he said, no, I take care of all of that for my drivers. I said, do you handle taking care of data queue as well? And he said, yes, I handle all of that. And I had never I'd never had that. I mean, is that something that's common? Do safety directors typically do that kind of thing? Or do some do it?
Mhm.
Yes, you'll find
Yeah.
that the bigger companies, if I'd say 25 or more drivers, it's
Yeah.
very, very common, Jim, very common that the safety director will do the data queue.
Okay.
If they've got a transportation consultant that's consulting for them, a lot of the consultants will do the data queue for them.
Okay.
Okay. And I got a referral this past week, and I was standing in front of the decision maker, the two decision makers there. One guy did the safety, and the other guy was the owner of that. And so I went through my little script, about, okay, if the ticket goes on the driver, as you know, sir, it'll go on the company safety stats. That's what your customers can see, and it's what your insurance rates are based on. And when I said that, Miss Connie, I turned and looked at the owner, and I said, sir, have you noticed your insurance rates going up lately? And he looked like a deer in the headlight. And he said, Mr. Reynolds, they have doubled from last year. And man, I tell you, that's all I needed right there. This little company was 17 drivers. And I plan on selling every one of them drivers. Yep. So I asked, I'm not bashful about that. Have you noticed those insurance rates going up? Oh, yeah. I already know. I've seen, it's like Sherranda always, I have seen the SMS, and I have seen the roadside inspections. I have seen the violations that has been written on that company. And I know without a doubt their insurance has spiked. I wanted to see if the owner would admit it, and he did.
So let me jump in here real quick. And just so you guys know, it's 9:38. So if anybody needs to jump off, I know it's other calls going on. You got Zooms, you got team stuff going on. I do too. I get it. If you need to jump off, y'all know we're recording. It's on YouTube Live, so it's being recorded. So you guys can get back in it and listen to it if you want. But I don't want to leave this unanswered, because if we don't get this sealed off, then it leaves the call kind of open with some information that we didn't give. So Jim, if you don't mind jumping back in real quick. So Jim, the guy said he does all of that. So what did he tell you that he does?
Well, I asked him about, I'd looked up the SMS, and I had noticed that there was some relatively recent activity. And I asked him who takes care of the tickets and keeping the points off from the license once the ticket has been adjudicated. And he said, well, I take care of that. I said, really? I said, that's kind of unique. I'd never heard of that before. I said, who handles your data queue and that data entry? And he said, I take care of that too. And I mean, I really didn't know where to go from there. I kind of like Sherranda right in the beginning when she said about, well, I see on such and such a date, you had a driver in here that received these many points for these violations. Are you aware of that? I mean, I that would have been the way to go to me, but I really didn't know where to go with that.
So check this out. So you were, was that Sherranda about to say something?
Yeah, I would have asked him.
Yeah.
You were having dialogue with him. He told you freely he did it. So I would have said, well, Jim, I hear you saying you do that. So what is it that, how, I mean, like, did you handle this on this particular day, or what happened with that? I would have kept the conversation going, because you're looking at what you see. So if he say he handled it, let's see what he really is, what he really is doing, or, you know what I'm saying? I would have kept the dialogue going. I really would have. That wasn't being rude. It was just, you just saying, well, okay, that, that's interesting. Like you say, you never heard of that, but that's what they do. I mean, that's what you want them to say they do, because I mean, that's what they should be doing. I'll say it like that. But if you see the numbers are still high, I would have just kept the conversation going, saying, well, I noticed on such and such day, this happened. So are you working on disputing this, or did you dispute it, or can you explain to me? Say, because I want to make sure I'm helping you. You know,
How do you handle that? How do you when you say you take care of that, could you explain to me what that is that you do?
But
I know
listen to
that's you
this.
telling him that.
Yeah,
But Jim, listen to this. Listen to the funny thing. He just caught you off guard. So check this out. Let's rewind that for a second, right?
yeah.
What was you calling for, Jim?
Just to see if I could talk with him about going in to do a group presentation, you know, for
Right.
his drivers.
And what were you offering?
I read him Lamar's script.
Right.
He said,
So you were calling him to offer him legal services.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, exactly. I said, you know, Michael Hayes introduced me. Mike and I have known each other for many years. I grew up in Lebanon, blah, 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 blah. Mike, you know, I sent him some information and I thought, Mike thought it would be good. He said I should have a conversation with you.
So hindsight, looking at that, right? This is really funny. You called to offer legal services. He told you he handles data Q and you didn't know what else to say. You didn't call or offer him data Q. So it didn't even matter that he did that. That's not what you was calling to offer.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You see what I mean? So the legal services that you were calling to offer puts him in a position to do the data Q because you get the adjudication through our law firms. So like Sherranda was just saying, when Sherranda just said that, when she said that's what you want him to be doing, that's actually the response that you were looking for.
Right.
That wasn't the wrong response. Him saying that he does that himself, you were supposed to have said, oh, okay, great. So who's handling the tickets that you're doing through data Q? Like who's handling that? Because when I'm looking at y'all score, I'm seeing that you guys are still getting points. So I want to know whether or not you guys are data queuing without a law firm looking at it, or whether you guys don't have adequate law firms reviewing the tickets, because that's what I'm here to offer you. Because now we can actually work hand in hand and get that done for you. You follow what I'm saying, Jim?
Yeah, I get it.
So really, you kind of just got caught up in that. Him responding differently than you thought just kind of threw you off. But really, that was actually, you should hope that every prospect answers that way, because that's half the job. You know that he adjudicates and he gets that part of it. The problem is that the tickets must not be getting fought effectively because either he's not data queuing right enough right, or the law firm ain't doing a good job. And either way, you can help. You follow?
Yeah. And you go to YouTube. When yesterday we talked about this, I think like for a while in the training.
Yeah, we did.
It came up. Somebody said it. Yeah. So your boy, he got the data queue, which is great. That's what you wanted. But somebody's not going to court. It's like what was that? Credit repair. He don't have any proof. So obviously, if that's the case, he don't have the proof. And the proof is if he had LegalShield and they went to court to fight the ticket to get that order of dismissal. Yeah. But see, he doesn't have that part. So the data queue is not working. So that's why you're calling to offer our services, because the numbers are still high.
So, hey, Jim, but what Sherranda said is spot on. Right. And what you do in the SMS, you scan down through there and find a real bad ticket that happened on May the 20th. And you look at him and say, you know, I was just reviewing your SMS and I noticed a real bad ticket on May 20th of 85 points that went into your record. Do you know if that ticket was adjudicated or not?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's a question. Hey, do you know if you got an attorney to fight that ticket? Do you know that? And he said, well, you know, I don't know for sure. Well, if you had my program in your business here, you would have the confidence to know that we're doing everything possible to get those points removed off of your driver and off your company safety stats. So you can just start to dig down. So you got right to the edge, and you learn. You're learning how to overcome that here this very evening. So you just go the next step next time into, okay, well, good. That's what I wanted to hear. You're the man. Okay, do you know if this ticket has been adjudicated? And you just take him on down that road. Yep.
Hey,
Right.
Jim.
Yeah.
Jim, ain't no next time, Jim. Call that joker back tomorrow.
Well, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Call him back tomorrow and say, hey, man, I was giving you a call because I was thinking about something, man. You told me you handled data queue and all, but you said, you know what, I'm looking now. There's a lot of companies actually handling data queue. what I really want to know is whether we can help fight these tickets so that you get a better outcome through data queue, because we got some attorneys that can make sure, you know, we get them, you know, reduced or dismissed or order dismissed or whatever, and start that dialogue. Like Sherranda said a little while ago, you was having a dialogue. You were having a good conversation with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and have that conversation, because y'all talking on the same level, and you'll be able to help that guy. And if he knows other trucking companies that are doing the same thing but still have bad scores, you'll get all of those guys.
Okay.
Because he'll know that you know what you're talking about.
Okay.
And that'll
Yep,
teach
absolutely.
you, that'll teach you with the next guy. Ask him questions, since you and Michael are friends and he works with Michael. Let him teach you. Just ask him questions, you know. Let him be the one that'll teach you how to call the next person that you don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
No, good stuff, brother. Yep. Appreciate it. I'm glad you asked that. Boy, I wish you'd asked that at the beginning of the call. We could have.
Well,
Hey, we could have rolled that right on out the door.
Well, I typed it into the chat log, but nobody picked up on it. So I just wanted to make sure I had it answered before we got done.
Oh, good stuff, man. We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate all the help, and I've really enjoyed, you know, sitting in on these. I've learned a lot, and I've actually got the confidence to pick up the phone and call or walk into these companies now.
Good stuff. Good. Yeah, that's what we hoping that this does. That was good. So thanks Daniel for that comment. Thank you guys for the support. Thanks for hanging with us again, guys, until 20 minutes after the call. But you know, we try to make sure we give you guys as much information as we can in the field. So you know, and if you ever need to jump off at exactly 9:30, go ahead and jump off because it's recorded, so you can always go back and see what you missed. So in the chat, I did put that training that me and Sherranda did yesterday. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. So you know, the timestamps aren't done yet. So you'll see if you look at the description, it says timestamps are under construction. So I'm still working on the timestamps, putting the times in there with the different topics. That way you'll be able to go back in there and then click on certain topics. But you can watch the entire video now. It is there. It is edited. I'm just adding the timestamps throughout the rest of this evening, because I have to pause when I'm adding them. It makes me wait before I add the next one. So we'll get that done for you guys. The third annual link is in there as well. Sherranda's call is on Thursday. The accountability call, guys, don't forget. And we'll see you guys again here next Monday on this call, and we'll have some more great topics for you guys, and hopefully we can answer some questions as well. So we appreciate you guys. Sherranda, Lamar, anything for you guys?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys, and close the month off strong.
Happy 4th.
Thanks,
Enjoy the
guys.
4th so much. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Great call.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Great call.
Thank you.
Appreciate everybody.